Welcome to another mandala video. Today I'm going to paint a 10-inch wood round in, well, kind of wintry colors. What you're going to need today are nail stylus tools, and I'm actually going to use my bendy ones because I can. It's been a while. I will link a video down below on how to bend your own nail stylus tools. I also have Happy Dotting Company dotting rods, a compass and a white chalk pencil, a ruler. I don't exactly know if I am going to use these, but these are, well, you can kind of see what it is, right? I bought these on AliExpress. I'll link them down below. Amazon has them as well. If you don't have anything like this, you can use, if we're going to use it, a compass. You can also use, I don't know, just a glass, so you can make a half circle. I have tubbies to mix the paint in. These are 5 milliliter. We're going to use a 12-point mandala stencil today, just a little bit different. And then here is the wood round. I've already marked the center. And for paints, the background is painted with Colonial Blue from Decoart Americana. I'm not going to use that one. Well, I am, but not a lot. It's optional. What I'm going to use mostly though is this Oyster Beige and white. Then I also have a white pearl, and I think I'm just going to use white pearl on its own, but I'm also going to use one mixed, I think a little bit of Colonial Blue in, just to spruce it up a little bit. The other thing that I actually have are these. These are squeezy tubes, and they come with a variety of nozzles. Where did I leave the nozzles? Should have been better prepared, but I wasn't. Oh, here. So they come with a bunch of different nozzles. If you don't have these, you don't have to use this. This creates just a little bit more of a puffy paint. So this is a white from Amsterdam, the brand Amsterdam. It's just their titanium white. I also have their white pearl. If you don't have that, you can just use any regular pearl. You can also use Nuvo drops if you want to. I don't have those yet, so that's why I'm going to use these to create some puffiness. And then here I have some nozzles, but I will tell you the nozzles that I'll use. I think that's it for what you'll need. Yes, so let me move everything to the side a little bit. First, I'm going to mix some paints. Let's do that. So let's do this, because I always make a mess. So I actually cleaned these out. So, you know, I reuse them. The darkest color that I'm going to use is Oyster Beige. So I'm going to start with that. And what I want is just a gradient. It's already very, very light Oyster Beige. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Oyster Beige and then white. So that's basically half-half. Color difference will be slight, but that is okay. And then here I want off-white, so I'm actually going to fill it up largely with white and then add a little bit of Oyster Beige. I already have regular white in a separate container, so I don't have to put regular white in here. But if you do not, then use this one for the regular white. Yes, so we basically then have 4 colors, you know, with the regular white as well. I have white pearl here. Kind of want to have a little bit of white pearl and then a hint of that Colonial Blue. Just a drop. So that I have a very pale blue pearl as well. And that just makes a bunch of colors. So let's move these out of the way. The regular white pearl I have here. Yes, okay. So these can go to the side. So I'm going to line it up. I'm going to kind of, it's eyeballing here, but I want to have the dot obviously in the center of this. And then I'm just going to create kind of U shapes in the beginning of the stencil, because these are very wide markings and my pencil is very narrow. And I am going to grab the first one, and I'm putting my pencil very much against the marking there. Let's do another, so that I'm sure that we have the center. Okay. And then we're just going to line everything up. So I'm kind of going to aim for the center shape of that U that I just made. We're going to connect all the opposite ones. Okay. Then I'm going to, shall we just measure it out? Sure, I like to be kind of precise. So the first guide mark is 2.4 centimeters from the center, or almost 1 inch. So what I'm actually going to do is, I have basically 10 centimeters left to the edge of the board. I'm going to make a marking every ½ centimeter. Like that. And then that is going to be for the circular guide marks that I'm going to make now. So the first one is going to be the start point of the mandala. And then we're going to go to the first guide mark. My stencil was wonky because I am in center. If I measure the edge of the board, I am in the center. So I don't know what happened, but that's okay. So now I'm just going to make circular guide marks. ½ centimeter apart, so 5 millimeter apart. So the last one, actually, because I was not really paying that much of attention, it's actually going to be shorter. So this is about, I'm guessing, 4 millimeters wide, or maybe even 3. I want the center, I love a shimmery center dot. So for the center dot, I am going to use pearl. But I'm going to cheat a little, I think. So let's grab a 15.5 dotting rod and pearl. And what I want is basically more along the lines of an outline. Like that. Now, if you don't have the paint that I have, just use pearl to kind of, you know, get extra paint there. But I'm actually going to use the pearl that I have from Talens to make a very, very puffy dot. That's the plan. So let's kind of move it around a little. Like that. Now I'm going to go to the smallest tool that I have, which is a 0.8, or do I want to do 1? No, I'm going to go to the 0.8, and I'm going to go to that blue pearl that I made. That's going to be the first ring. That's very small though. I'm actually going to switch to a 1. I'm going to go to the darkest color. So what is that? Oyster Pearl. Going to start a new row, so I'm not going to do them in between. Okay, I'm going to go one up, which is a 1.5, and I'm going to go one shade lighter. Spacing is pretty decent in this row, so I'm going to go in between the dots. So it wasn't as neat as I wanted to, because some dots are in between, some are not in between, but it's fine, it's fine. I'm going to go to a 2mm and one shade lighter. So basically the off-white. And let's go in between, but now I'm kind of going to skip one first, so that I can place one in between. I'm actually going to mix another color, because looking at that, the difference between that one and the regular white is very stark. So I'm actually going to mix a white with a hint, just a drop of Oyster Beige, to just have one color in between. Okay, I'm moving to a 2.5, and then that shade that I just mixed, so really the off-white, because I think that will be better. Yeah, that is better. And I'm actually just, you know, basically starting a new row. What I want to do now with Pearl, yes, and the micro dotting tool 0.8, I'm going to make micro dots in between the dots that I just made. If you feel more comfortable to wait until it's dry, do that. Okay, with a 4mm and the darkest, or basically Oyster Beige, the darkest color, I'm going to make a dot. I'm going to skip a guide mark and make another dot. Skip a guide mark. Just one. 1mm and that blue pearl that I mixed. I'm going to make a dot, top of the dot that I just made, and then I'm going to walk the dots around. Then I'm grabbing a brush. So I have a set here. It will be linked in the description box, and I'm grabbing the smallest one from that, and that is basically a finger width, or in length, yes. So we have that basically off-white that I mixed here. I'm going to go one shade up. I'm going to frame the petal. I'm stopping on this guide mark here. Then I'm going to go to white pearl and the 1mm again, and I'm going to frame the petal, but not all the way up. So I'll show you. So first I make a dot at the tip of the petal I just made, and then I'm going to walk them up halfway. You can also make the first dot with a 1.5mm. to make it a little bit larger. I'm also going to go one brush size up. Difficult to talk. I'm going to go to the off-white and frame the petal again. And now I'm stopping one guide mark lower. Next I'm going to grab the compass, because we're going to make half circles. I kind of should have prepared ahead, or I need to wait until the paint is dry to use the stencil that I have. But I don't want to wait, so I'm just grabbing the compass. Okay, so when I'm counting from the outside in of the guide marks, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. On guide mark number 11 from the outside, so outside in, I'm going to place my compass point. And then I'm going to measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want the pencil mark to come up until this point. So that's the guide mark. So we have the guide mark where the petals end. One guide mark above that, that's going to be the measurement. So and then I'm going to draw, starting on the guide mark point just above where the point of the compass is, if that makes any sense. So that you get that. And the width, or basically this distance, is 3 centimeters, or that. But that is it for me. So I'm going to place my compass point. And now I'm also going to check if I reach that part. And then one guide mark above where I put my compass point, I'm going to start making the half circle. So there is space in between, but that is completely fine. So now that I have the half circles, I know kind of where I want to make another brush stroke. So I'm going to go back to the brush, and I am going to use white. And I'm also using the larger brush, same brush that I just used. I'm going to go from the bottom up. So where we ended the half circle, we have one guide mark. So this is the guide mark where we ended. Then one guide mark I'm skipping, and then the other one is where I'm going to start the brush stroke. Okay, now I'm going to grab my squeezy tube with the number 20 nozzle, which makes very, very small dots. I'm going to use pearl, or the pearl from Amsterdam, which is thicker than the regular pearl that I was using. If you don't have this, just use the smallest dotting tool that you have, a 0.8, and just make dots there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this line, and I'm going to make dots there, just inside that line. And if you have Nuvo drops, you can do this with Nuvo. Just make sure that you have enough space between the dots so that they don't flow together. Just inside that line. And if you have Nuvo drops, you can do this with Nuvo. Just make sure that you have enough space between the dots so that they don't flow together. This is very good for the hand muscles. They're getting a workout now. Like that. Okay, next I am actually grabbing a straight 3mm and a straight micro tool. because I'm going to make swooshes and I can only do that with straight tools. So what I'm going to do is, if I had this kind of a bluey one in Nouveau, I would have used that, but I don't. So I'm going to make a dot right between these two. So it's going to be, in this one, it's going to be a little bit off center in comparison to the guide mark, but that is fine. So I'm going to make a dot. And the half circle ends here. We placed our compass point here, and I'm going to use the guide mark below that as the end of basically this pattern round. So now I'm going to pull it up until this guide mark here. Then I'm going to make 2 dots next to it, but they are going to be a little bit higher. And if you would rather do this with purl, then grab purl. And then I'm going to pull those in as well. Like that. And the way to create puffy dots if you don't have a puffy dot paint is to make your, well, swoosh or your dot, let it dry, and then go over it again with the same paint, and that will create height. Okay, this is, for me, it's kind of dry enough to put dots on top. I'm going to use the white puffy paint that I have and the 19 nozzle. If you don't have this, just use white. I'm going to make top dots. I want these to be puffy. Okay, I have the 4 dotting rod, number 4, and I'm going to make a dot with the off-white. I want to have a little bit of space, so I'm going to place it here. So I'm going to skip 1 guide mark in that arch. And then I'm going to place it on the second guide mark. So not that one, but that one. Then with blue pearl, and let's go to the 1. I'm going to do another round of walking the dots. So first I place a dot, and then we walk the dots. Okay, then I'm grabbing, let's go to the 1.5 and white pearl. I'm going to do another round of walking the dots. But I'm going to start a little bit differently. So I'm going to place 2 dots on either side of the guide mark, and then 1 dot just above. And from there, I'm going to walk the dots down. So I'll just create a little bit of a point. But I'm not going to go all the way around the dot with the walking the dots. I hope that makes sense. Okay, we're going to do more brush strokes. I'm going to start with white. Let's see. I am going to start on the guide mark where the half circle ends. Oh, and I'm using the same longer bristle brush as I was using for the previous petal. Then I am going to 1 shade darker, so the off-white. Okay, let me try something. I'm going to make these long, as you can see. It's a shape I've never done before, so I don't know if I like it, but basically the swoosh ended on this guide mark. I'm going to go just a little bit more towards the center of that guide mark to give the pattern a little bit more height. Okay, then I'm going to go one shade darker. This one is going to be shorter and a little bit more towards the, a little bit more out. I'll show you. So it's going to be a little bit shorter, and I'm going to start it a little bit more out and then bring it in. These ones are a little bit more in, so I'm actually going to make this one a little bit wider in the beginning. So that they curve a little bit better. One shade darker. And this one is also going to be shorter. I think this is going to be the last brush stroke. So I'm kind of going to aim for this guide mark here. That is where the half circle ends. Just a little bit below that. And then taking care not to go over that half moon shape. Let's grab the white. What I want is I want a ring of small dots, but I also want them in puffy. However, I'm not that proficient with the puffy dots to make them all the same size. So that is why I'm doing this first. If you are, you can skip this part, this step. But I'm going to make a ring of dots with a 3mm. And then when that is dry, I am going to go over that with that white puffy paint and basically fill up the dots. But as I said, I'm not really that proficient to make them all uniform. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Okay, mine has completely dried. It's overnight. I am going to make some changes though. Of course I am. I want these in pearl instead of blue because I feel like it doesn't really go together with the vibe. So if you like the vibe, then leave it, but I'm going to put pearl on top in just a minute. First though, I'm going to make some half circles again. So if you have this stencil, you're going to look for the 45, which means 4.5 centimeters. That's the one that we're going to use. And for me, this guide mark here gives me kind of the width that I need. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to put your compass point on the 4th guide mark from the edge, and then up until the dots that we made here. You can also measure it out. So this is 2.5. Should be 2.5 centimeter. It is, which is, well, say 1 inch. I'm going to line it up and then draw a half circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guide marks high. So the part where we put the compass point, 1 guide mark above that is where I'm going to stop the circle. I'm going to go to regular pearl and the micro dotting tool, which is a 0.8, and I'm going to micro dot between these two dots before I'm going to do the puffy dots. Then I am going to grab a brush and pearl. I'm going to make top brush strokes on this one, but maybe I'll make them thicker than just top brush strokes, because if you do a top brush stroke, you're basically making sure that it is in the center of the stroke, like the dots. But I actually want to largely cover it with pearl. The easiest way, actually, and I'm actually going to do that because I can, the easiest way to change this is to actually grab the paint that is the background and just put that on top of the swoosh. Like that, and then kind of let that dry. I can still see where the swoosh is, but that way you won't see the blue that is underneath, and that dries pretty quickly. So now I'm just going to make, how many swooshes can I do I want 1 here or 2? I think I want 1. So I'm going to make a dot, quite a large one, below that petal, and then I'm just going to put it in like that. And maybe you can fit 2 there. I think I actually can. Let's see. So I'm just making a smaller dot where I have the space. If you don't have the space, you don't do this. And just pull that down as well. Okay, I am going to make the swooshes here because my paint is dry enough. I'm going to use 2 hands, but I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'll make a dot. Pull it up. Make 2 dots on either side. And pull those up as well. Like that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so let me do that all the way around. Okay, the next step is optional and I'm just going to try it. I'm going to make a dot in between here in the space that I have here. Don't know if I will like it, but we will see. Then I'm going to pull one side down and then the other side up. I think that's fun, so. I think that's cute. Okay. So that is it for the number 19. I am going to switch to the puffy white paint and the number 19 nozzle, and I'm going to dot on these. And I'm trying to cover the entire dot that I already made. Now this paint doesn't, it stays pretty much put where you put it. So I can cover the entire dot without it flowing away too much. If you don't have this, again, this is totally optional. You can also do dots on top with pearl, for instance, but I just love the effect that it gives. I don't know if I can show you. I like that. So I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay, so that is done, and this just looks so cute with the raised edge there. What I am going to do now though is I'm going to do these with a micro dotting tool because I kind of want to give my hand a little bit of rest. So I am going to grab, I think I'm going to grab a 1.5 and pearl, and I'm going to make dots here all along that half moon that we made. Okay, I am going to grab pearl and the 3mm. I'm going to place that on top of the white dot here, but I kind of have to have a lot on my tool so that it will cover the entire dot. Well, I did not really want it to cover the entire dot, but apparently that's what we're going to do. Then I'm going to the white, the puffy white and the 19 nozzle. I'm going to make a dot here. But I have to take into consideration that this paint shrinks quite a bit. And I do want this to be a bigger dot, so I'm going to do that there between the petals, but I'm also going to make one here. There. Okay, with the 3mm rod and the white, I'm going to make, oh, can I open it? A dot. Between these two guide marks. So we have the guide mark where the half circle ends, and then the guide mark above that, and in between those two I'm going to make a dot, and this is just a guide dot for me. But I need to know where the dot is. Also, before I forget, I'm going to take 3mm and the pearl. I'm going to make a dot here. can also do this with puffy paint, but I just cleaned the nozzle and I don't feel like making it dirty again. We're going to do brush strokes. I am going to go to that 00 brush. And if the first few are too difficult, you can also do that with a stylus tool. I'm going to go to the darkest one and I'm just basically dipping the tip of my brush in like this. And then I'm going to make a brush stroke around the dot. Like so. It's a little bit finicky, but that is fine. And they're going to go just above this guide mark. Okay. Then I'm going to go one shade lighter. And that guide mark is going to go around the brush stroke that I just made. So I'll do one first so you can see. Like that. And it's here is the guide mark and it's just on the inside of the guide mark. Okay, then one shade lighter. And this brush stroke is going to be shorter. So I'm going to start those on this guide mark here. Okie dokie. Then we're going to go one shade lighter to the off-white. And this one is shorter still. So that's starting on the same guide mark as the half moons. Okay, then I'm going to go back to not the darkest one, but the second darkest one. And this one's probably going to be a little bit finicky. So I need a little bit of paint. And I kind of want to fill up this space a little bit. So let me check. Something like that. You can also do this with a stylus tool. So just depending on how much space you have there, that's basically the size of your brush stroke. Okay, I'm going to go back to the puffy paint pearl with a 19 nozzle, and I'm going to make a very small dot here. There. And then I'm going to pull that up and down. But I'm stopping just above this guide mark that I have here. I am going to aim between the center of the space here. We have this guide mark. And I'm going to make a dot just above. So basically in between the two guide marks. There. I'm going to pull it up. Make two dots on the side. There. Pull those up. And 2 more. And I think I can fit 1, but do I want to? I kind of like it like this. So I'm going to keep it at 4. I am going to make 2 swooshes. I'm going to make a dot here between these 2 guide marks. I'm going to pull that in. Then I'm going to make another one. Like that. So I'm going to do that here too. One dot. 2 dots. Okay, that is done. I am grabbing my white puffy paint and the 19 nozzle, and I'm going to make a dot on top of the white dot that I have here, like that, and then I'm going to drag that up. Maybe it's better if I wait until the rest is dry, but I'm impatient. Like that. That's the plan, man. Now that I have the white paint here anyway, I'm also going to make a small dot here in between these half moons. So let's see if that will work. Yeah, like that. If you don't have space, then don't do a dot or make a very tiny one. I think the last thing to do is the ring of dots, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did there. So I'm going to start with white, just a matte white, and I'm going to go to the 4mm and the white, and we're going to make a ring of dots. Okay, I'm actually going to do another ring also with white and the 4mm, and I'm going to go in between the dots of the previous row. I'm going to switch to the 3.5 though. Then I'm going to go to pearl with a 0.8, and I'm going to make a dot there and a dot there. Am I going to do that like that? Yeah. Okay, I am back. Everything has actually dried. It's been a few days. I also already removed all the guide marks with a baby wipe, and I'm ready to finish off the mandala with the 2 outer rings. So first I am going to make puffy dots with white for the inner ring, and I'm going to use the... Oh, before I forget, I actually changed these to white, because they kind of got lost in pearl and now they stand out a little bit more. So that's what I did. Okay, let's see. Oh no, the nozzle that I want to use. Yeah, I think we can use 18. Yep. Okay, so if you don't have, you can leave it as is. You can use Nuvo drops. You can just create a little bit more puffiness by going over it again once it has dried. I would use a 3mm nail stylus tool to make dots if I did not have this paint. So I'm going to make sure that I cover the entire dot. So I'm going to do this all around. Okay, that ring is done. Then I'm grabbing, let's grab a 3mm and pearl. You can do this with puffy dots as well. Will this work though? I think I need a smaller one. So let's go to a 2.5. And put dots on the outer ring. And then when that is done, it's finished. So let me finish off this row and then I'll show you the final result. Okay, this is it. She's finished. I really enjoy how she turned out. So let me kind of turn to the side so you can see the raised dots, hopefully. You see that? Can I show that on camera? Ah, there we are. I love working with puffy dots. So yeah, the center is a little bit messed up. If I want to clean it up, I would probably put some pearl on top. But this one is just for me, so it is all okay. And you know, that's what happens when you try out a new paint. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this mandala. Make sure to check out my other videos for other mandala ideas, and if you have any color combinations that you want me to do, please let me know down below in the comment section. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so, because I would love to have you as part of this creative family. And then that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'm going to wish you a fantastic day, a fabulous evening, happy painting, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.